In this lesson, we will graph a parabola with the vertex at the origin. So this is the same information that I gave you last time. So we know how to find the vertex, which is going to be at 0, 0 right now. We know how to find the focus using P. We know how to find the directrix using P. The axis of symmetry is again going to either be the x-axis or the y-axis. The only thing we haven't talked about is the latus rectum or focal diameter. So the length is actually called the focal diameter, and it's equal to the absolute value of 4p. Absolute value just because we know distance has to be positive. So that is the entire length. So let's look at how this might help us to graph. Just as we had before, we have x squared equals 4py, which means that 16 is equal to 4p. Which means p must be 4. I know that my vertex is here at 0, 0. The focus is going to be at 0, 4, again using that p-value, so 0, 4. And I know that the directrix, so that's the focus, the directrix is the line y equals -4. So that's this line down here on the opposite side of the vertex 4 units. The axis of symmetry would of course be the y-axis. That's that dotted line. So the equations for the axis of symmetry would be x equals 0. The directrix was y equals -4. And the only thing we haven't really talked about yet then is the latus rectum. And we said that the latus rectum was 4p. And we know that p was 4, which means it is 16 units. So from here, I'm going to go 16 total, which means 8 in each direction. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that is my parabola is going through. So the latus rectum just tells me how wide it's going to be. So we identified the vertex, which was at 0, 0, the focus, which was at 0, 4, the focal diameter was 16. That was this value right here. The endpoints of the latus rectum, we didn't write those endpoints, but it's -8, 4 and 8, 4. Again, we did that just by looking at the graph, but you could also, add and subtract half of the diameter, which of course would be the radius, from the focus. Here's another one for us to try together. This one is a little bit different because I have that 3 in front, so I have 3y squared equals -36x. Of course, I'm just going to get rid of that 3 to make it -12x. So y squared equals -12x, which means 4p equals -12, which means p equals -3. I've got the y value happening first. I know that the vertex is going to be right now at 0, 0. P is -3, which means that my focus is at -3, 0, which is right here. Let's go ahead and write that here, -3, 0. The focal diameter is the absolute value of 4p, and we already said 4p was -12. The absolute value of -12 is 12, which means from here I can go 6 units. 6 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That gives me the width. Oops. And again, we're going to be looking like this. The endpoints of the latus rectum, again, I'm taking the 6 and adding it and subtracting it from the y value. So the endpoints of the latus rectum was -3, 6 and -3, -6. That's using half of that. The equations for the directrix and the axis of symmetry. The directrix is x equals the opposite of negative 3, which is positive 3. So that's this line right here. And the axis of symmetry is y equals 0, which is this line right here. And then, of course, I'm just going to graph by going through those points and going through the vertex. There is my parabola. Here's one for you to try on your own. So try this question, then press play to check your work. Again, now I have an x squared first, so I have that negative 8 is equal to 4p, so p must be negative 2. That means that, again, my center is 0, 0, just as it was before, my vertex 0, 0. The focus is going to be at negative 2, which is, of course, the point 0, comma, negative 2. So again, the negative 2, if the x comes first, we know we're adding or subtracting that, adding it to the y. The directrix is the equation y equals positive 2. Again, we're messing with the y value both times, so that's this line right here. The axis of symmetry would be x equals 0, which is this dotted line going through the center. Focal diameter would be absolute value of negative 8, which is positive 8, which means from this point I can go 4 in each direction. Again, we're going from the focus, we're adding and subtracting half of the diameter, which is 4. So the diameter is 4, we're adding the diameter is 8, we're adding and subtracting 4 from the focus. So my graph would look like this. And I think that was everything. Oh, I didn't write the points, which is -4, -2, and +4, -2 for the endpoints of the lattice rectum.